Hey, good morning. Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Everybody good? Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Lisa Christofferson. I am the membership manager at the Utah Safety Council. Our mission at the Utah Safety Council is to save lives through education, products, and services. We are doing our Start with Safety webinar this morning. The first business day of every month, we like to start the month with a relevant safety topic. We like to have some subject matter experts join us and just kind of get some updates and begin the month with a good focus on a relevant safety topic. Then we like to kind of share Utah Safety Council updates and let you know what benefits we have and what classes are coming up, all that good stuff. So that's how we like to start our month, and that's Start with Safety. So that's the webinar you are currently in. So thank you so much for joining us. We are recording. I'm sure you noticed as you logged in. Some of us aren't always able to join, and I like to share the recording at the end. So I will do that along with links that we talk about so that you can come back and reference, and anything that we talk about you can join or get more information with those links if you need to. So we are recording, and we'll share that at the end. The way that you can kind of engage with us, or if you have a question or have a point you want to add, just go ahead and use the chat. Several of us will be watching for that. So if that's something you would like to do, feel free. So, okay, what I'm going to do first is just introduce our topic really quick. We are talking about leveling up. So Cameron, if you want to go to the next slide here, we're going to talk about what we mean by that, why we kind of chose that topic, and then kind of focus the bulk on how to level up, right? Because that's why we're logging in and using that as a topic. So that's what we will do. We've invited some guests, so I will introduce them at that time, and then we will follow that up with some Utah Safety Council updates, and our program managers want to each kind of share a way to level up by using some of the resources within their program as well. So we will do that, and then I will just wrap things up at the end. Okay, so what do we mean? So I'm going to start, I call these Brandy questions. What do you mean by that, Lisa? Okay, so what do you mean by leveling up? We kind of picked this topic as we just thought it was an easy, basic, applicable. Everybody kind of knows what you mean when you say level up, right? When I think level up, and this is going to date me a little bit, but I think of, Mario, because I'm older, and I'm not a gamer, but when I was younger and I would babysit and put the kids to bed early, and they would, sometimes I would see that they had a Nintendo and I could choose between Mario and Duck Hunt, and I would play Mario, right? So that's when people say video games, that's kind of the only one I really remember. But leveling up is a pretty basic concept. So that's kind of why we chose that. And so, kind of when I think of that, and when I think of Mario, I think of him, running, and that's kind of sometimes what we feel like, right? We have to be constantly running. We have to be moving, and if we're not moving, we're behind, right? So in the safety world, if you're not constantly leveling up, if you're not constantly reaching out to new resources and learning new things, you're absolutely going to fall behind. So that's kind of the what. We want to talk a little bit about leveling up your safety program, or the area that you are responsible for when it comes to safety. But we also want to talk a little bit about you leveling up as well as a safety professional, or us leveling up as safety professionals. Something that I remember about, playing Mario is, he would get, after he got so many gold coins, he could run really fast, or, there were different shields that he could get or whatever. And we need to not forget to level ourselves up, right? So Mario had to have those superpowers to get to the next level. We need to make sure that we follow up on and make sure we're watching out and getting our superpowers as well, right? So it's super easy to say, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I can't make it to that first aid class. I know it's going to be, and this is me. I'm super guilty of it. I have all these resources at my disposal, and I'm not leveling up as a professional as much as I should. So don't neglect yourself, because you're the key component of your safety program, or the area of oversight that you have, or what kind of you're in control of. You're the secret sauce, and you're the key component. So don't forget to level yourself up as well when you are working on leveling up your program, or what you have oversight over. Okay, so that's my little introduction, and just my little 2 cents about leveling up. Next, we're going to kind of talk about how to level up, and to do that, I thought it would be a great idea to have some guests come with us. I've invited Brian Olson, who's the VP of Safety and Health at WCF Insurance, and Carissa Workinger. She's a safety and health consultant at WCF. Now, we go back with WCF a long way. We appreciate their insight and their support of the Utah Safety Council, their sustaining members. They have people who sit on our board. We are so grateful to have them as part of our safety community. I know Brian and Carissa, some of you got to maybe meet them at our expo last year at the conference. They helped out and did a booth, and we got some great feedback from them. So I wanted to bring them back when we talked about leveling up, because I thought that they would be great experts to kind of kick that off and share some ideas and thoughts and resources. So with that, I will turn my camera off and stop sharing, and I will let Brian and Carissa talk about leveling up when it comes to safety.
Well, good morning. And Lisa, thank you for allowing us to spend some time with you guys this morning. It's actually one of my favorite topics that we're talking about this morning. So we hope that what we have to share, you'll be able to take back to your place of business and benefit greatly from it. So with that, and Carissa, did you want to say hello?
Hello. Happy to be here.
So with that, I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully technology will treat me right this morning. One of the things that really we feel is the most important thing you can do if you're going to have a solid safety program, and it's going to have any impact, it's got to involve the employees, because the employees, their perception is really what you have as far as safety and the strength of your safety program and your culture. Is my screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the first thing we're going to talk about is safety culture. And let me go into presentation mode so that hopefully this will be a little bit better and make it easier for you guys to see. Are we good?
Yes.
So a lot of people wonder, well, what is safety culture? Well, safety culture is the way in which safety is managed in a workplace. It often reflects the attitudes, beliefs, perceptions, and values that employees share in relation to safety. In other words, what it is it's how safety is done in your workplace. And, we're fortunate in our job because we get to go into a lot of the different organizations and companies. And it amazes me the different attitudes that employees have about safety. And it all, impacts, while we don't care about safety, or we really care about safety, or I know if I do that, my supervisor wouldn't be very happy, or my supervisor wouldn't really care if I do that. Those will impact the decisions that employees make in your work environment. So your culture really has a lot to do with the decision-making process that your employees will follow. Now, I love this study. It's actually a study that was done a little while ago. It was done in 2007 by a guy named Dr. Anthony Veltri. He was an associate professor at Oregon State University, and he published his findings in an article, in the spring article for the Journal of Safety and Health Research. But I love what he studied, because one of the things as safety professionals that we want to know is, I always heard, hey, we're just overhead. Safety professionals really, they don't really contribute to the bottom line. They're just there to protect employees, but they don't really impact, how productive or profitable our company is. And I love this study because it shows you it's just the opposite. So what his study was all about was, if I invest in safety, if I'm a company and I put money into safety, does that impact my bottom line? And if so, how? So his study was actually done with a whole bunch of manufacturing facilities. And he wanted to know if employees and supervisors and managers all saw safety the same. In other words, they all had a perception that was the same about safety and it was strong. Did that impact the company in any way as far as profitability, productivity, and all those things? And what his study revealed was that if the senior leadership of the team and the employees on the front line had the same perceptions, in other words, there was not a disconnect between the way they thought safety was in the company, they found out that there were fewer mistakes made in the process. They had less scrap, damaged material. As the disconnects increased, the reliability and the quality of the product went down. So if the two groups had a strong understanding and belief about the safety and it was positive, the reliability and durability of a product that they built or whatever service they provided, it went up. And also they had, let's say the last thing there was, if there were disconnects, that meant that the cost of production went up. If the disconnects were small and safety culture was strong, the cost of the production went down. And then of course, the bottom line is you protect your most valuable assets, right? Your employees, they're the most valuable asset that a company has. And so as all those things combine to be positive when it comes to your safety culture, you have an increase in your bottom line and a protection of your most valuable assets. And I love that study. And it rings true because I've been doing this for 30 years now, and I do a lot of safety culture assessments in organizations. And some of you are familiar with what we call an EMOD. And an EMOD means you're paying less in your workers' comp insurance if you have a good one. And usually, if a company scores really high on the safety culture assessment, their EMOD's typically low. So that validates the study. And I love this because I use it over and over. So what we thought would be really beneficial for everyone today was for us to show you a little bit about what we do. What are the things that we look at? If a company wants to know, well, how strong is our safety culture in our company? Well, there's 10 basic questions that you can ask your employees, and the responses to it will kind of give you an idea of where you score in your safety culture within your organization. So with that, I'm going to let Carissa show you our first question that we ask.
Okay, so like Brian said, we're kind of trying to see with these questions, is there any discrepancies between an employee and any sort of management position? So this first question, as an employee of my company, do I feel that my workspace and the company in general is a safe place to work? And so we can take that question and say, do I really agree with it? Like strongly agree? Do I agree with it a little bit? Am I neutral? Do I disagree? So depending on how the employee feels, there's a few things that we should think about with this question. Basically, do we have opportunities for the supervisor and the employee to talk about the unsafe conditions? So how can we do that? Certain ways people do it is a safety committee, suggestion boxes, and then do we actually look at the suggestions and talk to our employees about it? And then do the employees have ways to observe and report unsafe conditions? So that's our first question.
Yeah, and as Chris have mentioned, the system is set up on a scale, okay? It either goes from strongly agree to agree. They can score this neutral, they can disagree or strongly disagree with this. And, a lot of times companies put a lot of effort into the safety. A lot of times I'll go in and meet with the senior management or the CEO of a company, and they'll say, oh, absolutely, safety is really, really important to us. And they do try to make sure the employees know that safety is important. But somewhere along the line of communications, it doesn't get down to that frontline employee. And so sometimes a company may be committed to safety, but it's not getting down to the employee. Somewhere there's a breakup in that communication chain. And what we want to do is we want to open that chain so that the employees, or that conduit, so that the employees know, oh, senior leadership really cares about safety and it's important in my decision-making process as well. So as you read these, that's how they can score it. The second one there is an employee. I do feel that our company has an effective and fully functioning safety and health program in place. Now, sometimes an employee, there may be a fully well-organized, well-written safety program, but because the orientation never talked about it, they've never heard anybody say anything about it, they may not realize that the company does have a written safety program and that they're expected to follow it. So sometimes the way we can close this gap is you make a copy of the safety program available to the employees, whether that's in a gathering room or somewhere, or you can have safety meetings where you say, okay, we want to review the company's safety program, and we're going to do that this year. We're going to review, a section of the program each month, or however you want to do it. The first one, we want to talk about the company's statement as far as commitment to safety. And you just go through the program, then they become aware of it, they understand it. And also, one of the other things that we find, companies have a great written program, but if you don't really ever enforce what you have in writing, it almost communicates to the employees, well, we really don't have a program in place. So they may get the perception that there isn't a program in place. So enforcement is a really important part of any written program.
Okay, as an employee in my company, I feel or don't feel that my individual participation in the program is crucial to its success. So I think with this one, a lot of employees specifically, maybe not managers, but maybe employees feel like my participation doesn't really matter in the safety. So there's a few things that we want to talk about here, mainly the communication loop. So yeah, there's a lot of communication from supervisor and manager to employee, but are we, like looping it back from employee to the supervisor or manager? We want that two-way communication. So sometimes the gap is we don't have the feedback back to the manager or supervisor. So we want to make sure that employees feel safe talking to their supervisor or manager about that, because sometimes they're worried about speaking up or getting in trouble, or there's fears. And so we want to make sure that they feel like they can participate and have a voice in the safety program. So our suggestions here are to communicate safety deficiencies to their direct supervisor, submit any safety suggestions that they have, and then have the ability to have them serve on the safety committee, not it just be like a management role, but have their input at the safety committee.
And then the next question there, what you'll notice, there's a real general theme that we hope everybody's picking up on is, it's important for obviously senior leadership and supervisors to care about safety, to be involved in safety. But we find that the companies that are the most successful, that have the fewest injuries and the least severe injuries, their employees are involved in the decision-making process in every aspect of safety. So workers, this one here, I have a chance to regularly offer my ideas about how the program can be improved. If I feel comfortable, as Carissa said, if I feel like I can go to my supervisor and say, when I do this, I feel like I'm not safe, or it just feels like I'm very vulnerable, and I want to communicate that to you, and here's my ideas on how we can improve that, it really goes a long way. But if the employee feels like I don't have any mouth, I don't have a voice, I can't really share my ideas, a lot of times they have some of the best ideas to resolve problems. And if we don't listen to the most knowledgeable people when it comes to the safety of that job task, I think we lose out. And, we lose their commitment too, because a lot of times someone who makes a suggestion, they're going to want it to be successful too. So provide a forum that encourages supervisors and employees to have that open communication, where a frontline employee can offer their suggestions. And then even sometimes, in situations, sometimes an employee might make a suggestion that just is really not a good viable solution, but they need to feel like they've been listened to. And certainly, even if it's not maybe the best idea, there needs to be some form of communication, some feedback saying, hey, we love that. That may not be the best solution right now, but let's keep working at it and communicate back to them that you're listening, you're thinking about it. And even if they don't provide the best solution, I think you need to work towards coming up with a solution together. So that's a really important aspect of a good, strong safety culture.
As an employee, I feel that when an unsafe hazard or situation is discovered, it is usually taken care of quickly. Okay, so here we want to be timely with any unsafe conditions, because when it's not addressed immediately and goes on for extended periods of time, you send the message that safety is not important. And so it goes against you and actually can weaken your safety culture and your programs, because you're not enforcing. It's always about enforcing. So we want to make sure that any hazard that is brought up to you is taken care of in a timely manner.
This next one here is probably, in my opinion, the most essential. And a lot of times it's difficult because your top managers, your CEOs, your senior people in the company are very busy. And justifiably, it's hard for them to take the time to go out and spend some time with the employees. But one of the things that I learned at my first company, it was when I very first started this profession, I've been doing this for 30 years, was one of the most impactful things that I did was have the CEO come out, and at one of our get-togethers for the employees, when we were talking about safety, I had them come out and just in one or two sentences voiced their concern and their commitment to the employees' safety. And it went miles. I mean, people believe, because they feel like here is the smartest person in the company. They care about us. They're out here telling us how important safety is. And when they hear it from the CEO or the senior leadership, it goes a long way. It's one thing for my supervisor to say, hey, you know, this company really cares about your safety. It's another thing for the most important person or most valuable person that most people would feel like in the company would be that senior leader, to be out there or coming to a safety committee meeting, or, you know, to spend time talking about and promoting safety. That has a huge impact. So, and it really can take just a few minutes of their time, but employees want to hear from the senior leadership, hey, it is important. That's why we're taking the time to stop you and have these meetings, because your safety is very important. And we don't want you to compromise your safety when it comes to productivity, when it comes to quality. Our most valuable assets are you, and we want to protect you. And it can be done in a committee meeting. It can be done pretty much in any setting. But those brief moments will have a huge impact on what your employees feel the safety culture is in your company.
Okay, as an employee in my company, I feel that accidents have been most often from hazards related to the work process rather than employee carelessness. So how many times have we been in our accident investigation meetings, or we're talking about why an accident happened and the blame is put on the employee's carelessness? And okay, sometimes that may be the case, but I feel that most often there's maybe another reason. And that's why we do root cause training, because we can see, are there other reasons why this happened? Do we need to work on our administrative controls, our engineering controls? Do we need to do more training? You know, is it something other than an employee?
And then this one is one that is important and sometimes I think gets overlooked. Our company has a good record of controlling work-related accidents or illnesses. A lot of times it's real easy to just forget that we need to communicate how we're doing to the employees. You know, hey, here's how we're performing as a company. Or, you know, we had an injury and we wanted to make everyone aware, not to place blame, but hey, let's learn from this injury. Let's make sure that we're all aware of the injuries we're having and the hazards that exist out there, and what we want to make sure we're all doing together to make sure this doesn't happen again. So sometimes you learn from a near miss, or you learn from an accident or an injury, And names don't need to be discussed, but you can create a scenario where they learn from the incidents that you're having and they're aware, okay, our company had this injury. But a lot of times when you interview an employee or talk to them, they're unaware of injuries that happen in the workplace. And some of those experiences or those injuries are the best teaching moments. So we need to make sure that our safety culture is impacted by these teaching moments. We need to educate our people on the injuries and accidents that are happening in the workplace and what we're doing as a company to eliminate them in the future.
As an employee in my company, I feel or don't feel that our company takes the time to train new workers and make sure they work safely from day one. So do you have some sort of orientation, safety orientation in place so that they know the hazards before they even get in front of a machine or whatever is the hazard? And then often there's specific on the job task training that needs to happen. And are you doing that? Or are you just sending them off on day one? And then also, how do we keep up to date on their training so that there's no complacency, so that we can prevent accidents? And we can do that by holding weekly or monthly or bi-monthly safety trainings.
And this one is the final statement that we look at, and it's a really important one. And it's interesting because within an organization, sometimes you'll see safety culture varies from supervisor to supervisor. I've been in a lot of safety culture assessment studies, and it reveals very quickly that, you know, some companies have a strong safety culture over here in this department, but a weak safety culture over in this other department. And a lot of times it's what the communication from the supervisor to the employee is if I'm a supervisor and I go out and ask about productivity all the time, or, hey, you know, I'm asking all the questions about all the other things except for safety. If I don't go out and I say, hey, are you wearing your safety glasses? Is your machine guarding on? Or, hey, your machine guarding's off, let's put that back on. We don't want to operate that without it. If they don't discuss safety, in fact, they can even go contrary to, and if they say, hey, don't worry about that. We just got to get the, you know, output today. We've got to get, you know, productivity is so important. Let's go, go, go. And we don't ever include safety in those conversations. Our employees, even though it may not be true, they may get the perception that safety is not important. It's only productivity. So those things are important for a supervisor to do as well. And they are, remember, we talked a little bit about enforcement. And if I don't have safety enforced out in my workplace, I'm going to get the perception that, oh, safety is really not a priority. It's productivity. It's all the other things. So it's really important for those frontline supervisors not to criticize when safety things are brought up, and also to emphasize, hey, you know, you need to make sure you're wearing your gear. You need to make sure the equipment has the proper guarding, and they need to address any issues. And like Carissa said in one of the statements earlier, I believe it's statement 5, is when an unsafe hazard is discovered, how long does it exist? If it sits there for days and days, it's communicating that our top priority or maybe productivity and profitability, but we're not so worried about the safety issues. And that communicates a lot to the employee about how important safety culture is. So I wanted to share with you.
Sorry, and maybe there's a discrepancy with this question where maybe the supervisor feels like, yeah, I do care about them, but maybe the employee doesn't. And so this is a good way to kind of determine that, like, does the employee strongly agree? Are they neutral? And then the supervisor can, you know, look inward and say, oh, I didn't realize that. What can I do to help you feel like I care about your safety?
Very good point. So I got permission from Granger Hunter Improvement District. This was back many years ago when I was working with them on their safety culture. And one of the things they did, they wanted their company to show, hey, let's, as a team, we're going to pledge that if we find unsafe conditions, if we're all committed to safety, and they all read this, they came up with a pledge, they put it on paper, and they all signed the pledge saying, this is what we're going to do. And in fact, they actually all took a domino. They were all given a domino, and they put it in their pocket. Whenever I went out on a job site, they had pulled their domino out and show me. And the domino represented, I am going to remove anything that create a domino effect into an injury. And that was a reminder, hey, if I see something that's unsafe and it could contribute to somebody getting injured, I'm going to eliminate that domino so it won't tip any of the other ones over. And so there's just a lot of things that a company can do to change their safety culture rather quickly. Even if it's poor, you can strengthen your safety culture rather quickly by doing these 10, doing things that influence these 10 questions and your employees' responses to them. So with that, we thought we would turn it over now to any questions that someone might have.
So go ahead and put questions in the chat if you have questions for Brian and Carissa. And maybe while people are kind of thinking of what questions that they have, maybe you could tell us a couple of ways that different companies have asked these questions. Like, did they use like a survey tool? Did they just handwrite? Like, what were some of the tools that they used to get this information to ask these questions?
That's an excellent question. So actually, these questions that we just showed you are our safety culture assessment tool. We ask these, we have a system set up so that they can either have a hard copy of these questions and they take them out. And the key to this, and I probably should have mentioned it, that's an excellent question, Lisa. The key to this is it has to be anonymous, right? So we actually submit these to the employees anonymously. They can fill it out. We really encourage comments. Please tell us why you gave us the score, and it's anonymous. And so typically the best thing to do is to have a third party come in, because employees feel a little bit more comfortable knowing, well, I don't want to say something negative about my supervisor and safety, so I'm not going to answer this last question the way that I really feel. So I would encourage that they're anonymous, and if possible, you have somebody independent of you come in and do it, because then they feel, okay, I'm assured that my negative comments, I don't mean it to be negative, but I'm just telling the truth. You want the truth, right? And sometimes if you create the wrong scenario, even if you ask these 10 questions, you're not going to get what you need. And so those are two really important characteristics: anonymous and maybe somebody independent, so that they don't feel like, oh, this could be bad for me. So we have the 10 questions. I'm happy to even give, if someone wants me to give them the questions, I would be happy to send them a copy.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I didn't see any questions come through. I guess that's what happens when you're very clear and
Wow. We
right.
must have been very crystal clear.
No, I thought you were pretty clear. No, I just want to say I really appreciate what you've shared. I know that people will watch the recording, and we will share, if it's okay with you guys, we'll share your email addresses and people can reach out directly to you if they have any more questions. We just appreciate your feedback and your help. If anybody, if you think of another question for them or for us, while we're kind of continuing on with the presentation, don't hesitate to put it in the chat, because we can absolutely circle back and make sure we get that clarified. So
yeah, please feel free to email us. Whether you're a policyholder or not, we'd love to help you.
That's and we appreciate that. They're just such a great safety resource. They've got so many tools available for policyholders as well as those that aren't, and we just appreciate that support. So thank you for joining us, Carissa and Brian, and we'll keep in touch if there are any more questions. So what we would like to do now is just going to shift to the next portion of our Start with Safety webinar. And we're going to do some updates. And our first update will be from our president, John Wojciechowski. So John, I saw you a second ago, but oh, there you are. Are you ready?
Well, thank you everybody for being here. And I think Brian and Chris have logged off, but we'll extend our thanks to them. They are a great resource. They've been a great resource for the state of Utah for many decades. And, as they indicated, they are willing to help whether or not you're a policyholder with WCF. So, please reach out to us. We can help you connect with them and, do the good things that we all need to do to improve our safety cultures and our organizations. So kind of speaking of which, we have our big annual meeting and awards presentation coming up in a couple of weeks, actually 10, 11 days from now on August the 13th, Friday the 13th. This is kind of a hybrid event. You know, we're still dealing with the COVID pandemic, so we will be presenting live from the Capitol's boardroom at Utah State Capitol on the 13th, beginning at 10 a.m. We'll have a select small audience there, but it will be streaming live. If you haven't registered for the event yet, please do so on our website at utahsafetycouncil.org. It is free. We have a nice platform set up so you can engage with us and feel like you're a part of the whole presentation. So we will be presenting 11 award categories. Those include the Achievement in Safety by an Organization, which will be presented by myself and Brandy Crockett, our Vice President of Operations. We'll have our Occupational Seatbelt Award that will be presented by Nicole Rilk, our Traffic Safety Manager. We have our Membership Recognition Awards that'll be presented by Lisa. Our Million Hours Awards and our Perfect Record Awards will be given away by Cameron Clark, our Occupational Safety Manager. Our Professional Drivers of the Year Award will be presented by Cassie and Nicole. Our Women in Safety and Health Award, our WISH Award, you'll be able to hear about that and who won it. That'll be presented by Lisa. Our Harold R. Everett Lifesaver Awards will be presented by Kenzie and Nicole. We have 3 very inspiring and cool stories there. And then our Awards of Merit will be presented by Megan. And there's over 100 of these. And these are very cool. And these are organizations that do have a very strong safety culture, and they have for years now. And it's always great to honor them. And then to wrap it up, we'll have our Robert F. Parenti Individual Achievement and Safety Award. I'll be presenting that, as well as the Award of Honor, you know, the big award that we give away to the one company that has gone above and beyond safety in their organization. So we're excited about that. It's also an open meeting. You know, the Utah Safety Council is a nonprofit, so our board of director chairperson will be there to tell you about the financials and what the Utah Safety Council did over the past year financially. We're a member-based organization, so your membership dollars and your tuition for trainings helps fund us and keep us operational. So he will present our financials, as well as introduce our current board members, and then read through our nominating report for new board members and board members that need to be re-elected to their chairs. So, oh, and I don't want to forget to tell you that at our annual awards meeting, Sheriff Rosie Rivera will be speaking to us and giving her words of wisdom on leadership and culture. And she's a very great leader for Salt Lake County Sheriff's Department and Unified Police. So we're excited to hear from her. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Cameron and the whole team here to tell you what's going on. As they'll tell you, even with the pandemic, we're still busy. We're still having classes, some in person, some virtual. We're keeping it safe here. Just be prepared to come with the mask. You know, we're still adhering to safety protocols. We just don't want anybody getting sick because they attended training here at the Utah Safety Council. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cameron Clark, our Occupational Safety Manager. And if Cameron's not there, then I'll just keep going on.
I'm here, I was just trying to get my slide moving. There we go. Well, hey, my name is Cameron Clark. I do the occupational safety program here. And like John mentioned, we are just really trying to be as safe as we can here. So one of the things that I'm doing with my program is I'm still continuing to offer every one of my courses with a hybrid option. So if it's in person is the way you need to learn, you need to get out of your office, I have that available for you. But if you want to be able to, you know, not have to commute, not have to stay, I do have that option as well. Some of the courses, as we go into them, if everyone's only registered online, I'll probably reach out to and say, hey, are you interested in online, or does it need to be in person? So we're pretty flexible here, because I'm just trying to accommodate and follow our mission and save any lives we can through education. As far as just my program goes with upcoming here this month, I've got quite a few different courses within different certificate programs, as well as just extra courses coming on this month. We have our fundamentals of industrial hygiene starting this week. So if you're trying to figure out those elements and you can pull a quick 4 days, you can still get into that course as well. That's going to be this week. We have our trench and excavation for the competent person on the 9th. We have risk management on the 11th. The risk management courses, as well as that in incident investigation. We bring in some very experienced safety professionals that can really speak to, kind of what elements are needed in managing a risk program. So as long as we're, talking along those lines of leveling up our safety program, those are going to be some of those things that they're going to bring very unique experience into there that you can kind of take back, apply, and then you can really ask questions that are pretty specific to your programs too, just because they have a wide range of experience. Most of the guys that we're bringing in to teach those courses as well. I'm doing something a little bit different this month that we haven't before, is we've been having a lot of requests for fire extinguisher training coming in. People kind of saying, well, how can we empower people with this? So I'm hosting one here. We have it up on our site, everything. So you can send individuals to that course. You can send your team to that course. It's a 2-hour course. It's pretty brief. It's going to go over fire types, extinguisher types, and then just kind of what we need to do in emergencies in that situation. We have an OSHA 10 general industry this month from the 17th to the 18th. This is actually my first course, and I'm going to be fully instructing here for the general industry. But if you haven't used your member benefit, make sure you're definitely getting into that course. We have a partnership with Mountain West OSHA, and they've got their safe patient handling. So if you have anyone that's in any sort of industry where they'd be doing that, anyone working within, any of your assisted living, anything like that, that course is going to cover a lot of things that is going to help them manage their job, especially within the realms of OSHA. We've got fall protection for the competent person coming up on the 20th. So that's going to be an 8-hour course that's going to be a little bit more specific into what the needs are. Obviously, that's still designated by the company, but it's just a course to empower them with that information. We have our HAZWOPER 8-hour refresher. So if you have your 40-hour and you need to refresh that we've got that course coming up on the 23rd. We have machine guarding on the 25th, which is part of our OSHA compliance certificate. And then incident investigation on the 26th. And then we also have a forklift trainer course on the 30th that can be attended virtually or in person. And then we have our exit routes course that is also part of the OSHA compliance on the 31st. A couple of things that I just want to talk through real quick as far as leveling up your safety. Within the occupational program, there's definitely a lot of opportunity to level up your personal safety as well as to level up the way that you're doing things with your program. One of the main, I guess, responses that I get when people come and attend a general industry, they go, man, that was a little bit too broad for me. That wasn't specific enough. And that's always exciting to me to hear. So yeah, you're starting to realize there's a lot more here, maybe some layers that we need to break down. So one of my biggest recommendations that I do in there is if we've got a supervisor, if you've got a leadership role in safety, I would definitely look into that OSHA compliance certificate. If you can put your supervisor through that, what that's going to do is it sets it out with a capstone of that that OSHA 10 or 30 and gives them the general knowledge to build off of. And then each of the specific courses, like you see here, we've got machine guarding. So if you're an organization where you are going to be needing to do some machine guarding, you send them to that, and that's going to help them navigate, well, not only what are OSHA's expectations, but how do we find what the Code of Federal Regulations are? How do we know what's changed? How do we know how to make sure that we're following all the rules that we can, and how can we help our team members understand that? So those are nice because they're just 4-hour builder courses. You can attend those ones virtually. So it's really a good way to empower yourselves and empower your team. The other one, of course, is going to be our advanced safety certificate. That one is going to be that one does help you with your personal pursuit of safety, but also really what you're going to be doing within your safety program. How are you implementing it? What techniques you're using for training? What techniques are you using to implement change from the top down? So those courses are going to be a lot more in-depth. But these courses we're running constantly here. So if it's something that you've considered or something that you're thinking about, as far as my program goes and leveling up your safety, I would definitely look into your OSHA compliance certificate as well as your advanced safety certificate. Those are just going to take your safety to the next level, is understanding and navigating what our regulatory parties are, what the expectations are, and how we can save lives within the workplace. That being said, I'm going to pass over to Kenzie and let her take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron. So my name's Kenzie. I'm the Emergency Care Program Manager here at the Utah Safety Council. And we do have some classes coming up. We have our First Aid CPR AED course on August 25th. Remember, this is your member benefit, so you can take advantage of that. Then we have our CPR AED community class on August 21st. And then our instructor course. So our instructor course for August is full, and November is almost full. So if you want to take advantage of that course, please register soon. And the next class after November isn't until January. And then you can use the Workplace Safety Scholarship for any of those courses. And then for my program, I just want to talk about leveling up with an AED. So I talk a lot about AEDs and the importance of them in the event of sudden cardiac arrest. Statistically, 350,000 to 450,000 Americans die each year due to sudden cardiac arrest. So the biggest thing that I see is people might have an AED unit and they say, well, it's not my job to check it. Someone else comes in and does that. And when it comes down to it, it's everyone's job to check it. Every single day you walk past that AED unit, you should be checking it. So as safety managers or, even just coworkers, we should be checking in with our employees and coworkers and making sure that everyone's checking that AED unit every single day, making sure it's live and ready to go in the event of sudden cardiac arrest. I also want to talk about training on one. So if you can't make it to a full first aid CPR AED course, you should at least just do some training on an AED device, just so people feel comfortable and confident in using one in the event of sudden cardiac arrest. So we offer that training, but you can also get a training AED unit for your company. They're actually relatively cheap. So that's something I would definitely look into. That being said, I'm going to pass it to Megan, our MSHA program manager, for her update.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Megan. I am the manager of the MSHA Refinery Training Program here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those programs. We are still, of course, holding our in-person refinery safety trainings. We have Basic Orientation Plus actually tomorrow. We do still have seats available in that if you're needing that training. And then we're also going to have a BOP on the 17th and 31st. We are also still offering the Basic Orientation Plus refresher. If you haven't come over to our computer lab in the past year, we have actually expanded our computer lab into another classroom. And so we have plenty of space in between everybody. We keep talking about safety. And of course, we always talk about safety, but we talk about safety here in our building and during training. And so we have actually expanded our computer lab to allow for some safe distancing for everybody. And we do offer the Basic Orientation Plus refresher Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday by appointment. So go ahead and give us a call if you would like to schedule that training. We do have UITC also, which is accepted by Big West, Silver Eagle, Chevron, and Marathon. And we have that August 10th and the 24th. Okay, and then for our MSHA training, there we go. We are still offering the web-based MSHA training. We have received permanent approval to offer the web-based MSHA training. And so it's not just temporary because of the COVID pandemic anymore. We are going to be offering this permanently now. So we do have a couple of web-based classes still coming up, but we're also going to start offering our in-person MSHA training again. We haven't actually offered any pre-scheduled MSHA training since November. So this is actually very exciting. It's been about 9 months now. So we're excited to have everybody start coming into our office again. We are kind of restricting how many people we're going to be allowing to come to those in-person classes, just because we do want to still be allowing for a little bit of distancing. We are still going to be requiring masks, but we are very excited to have people start coming into our offices again and start offering that in-person connection again. Our instructors are very excited too. Our new minor classes are actually going to just be web-based for right now. So we do have a class this week, and then we are also going to be offering that the 18th to the 20th. And then of course we will be offering the Introduction to Work Environment tours along with those. So for leveling up your safety program in the MSHA refinery world, if we can go to the next slide. There we go. I'm usually the one controlling the slides, so everybody's telling me that. So it's kind of fun to be able to tease Cameron about it. But so just a few things for leveling up your MSHA program, especially because refinery is more on the OSHA side. So you'll be working a little bit more with Cameron if you're going to be leveling up your refinery safety program. But for MSHA specifically, I'm not sure if everybody is aware of all the really great resources that is actually up on MSHA.gov. So I do have a screenshot there. It's a pass now, of course, but just as an example, they did have a stand down for safety last month for power haulage and vehicle rollovers, and they actually do that every couple months, it seems, where they actually create new flyers and print materials and videos and everything, and they just put it all up on their website. And they really concentrate on that area. They've done it for fall safety too here in the past year. So they have videos up there. They have all the forms that you're going to need for your programs. They have instructions for those forms, and then they also have events. They have their quarterly stakeholders meeting, which is really great. It's just extremely informative. Lets you know what MSHA is thinking. Lets you know what they're looking for when they come out to visit your site, and it really lets you know what other MSHA contractors and what other mine sites are actually going through currently. So it's just a really great place to go if you have any questions about MSHA. Of course, in line with that, also just suggest really taking advantage of the Utah Safety Council consultation services. So I don't know if anyone is aware of this because in our occupational program, of course, we have consultation services. We talk about it all the time, but we also offer that for our MSHA programs for our mining contractors. So we have 4 contracted instructors that are MSHA certified right now. All of them have experience in mine safety, and all of them have actually been working on mine safety programs before too, either as a consultant or as a contractor or actually on the mine site. So they have some really great experience. All of them are still working in those areas too, so they're current on the regulations. And so it's just really exciting to see all the resources that we have for you. If it's not something that you really want to come to us for, I also suggest that you call up our local MSHA office. They are willing to do consultation with you. It's a little bit, it may be a little bit more uncomfortable if you are a little bit worried that you haven't been meeting all the requirements. OSHA, they have their consultation side and they have their audit side. MSHA is just one MSHA. So just be aware that if you call MSHA, don't self-report because they will have to follow up on that. But that's a great time for you to actually call the Utah Safety Council. We won't report you. We're actually going to help you go through any of the processes that you need to actually make your site safer. We're not here to get you guys in trouble. We're here to actually help you guys out. So 2 different resources for consultation services. I do want to also talk about the streaming videos. So Lisa's always talking about the streaming videos that's available for our members. I just did a couple of quick searches for topics that are relevant to MSHA. There are lots of videos on there. Check them out. They're great for using for your safety training or your safety means or anything like that. And then also, just like Cameron was talking about, go beyond required MSHA training. So I know that a lot of our MSHA contractors that come here for the mine safety training with us, they also work on occupational safety sites. But also the OSHA regulations were actually adopted by MSHA in a lot of respects. MSHA goes above and beyond a lot of those regulations, but the base information is from OSHA. So even if you're looking at just mine safety, just going through all those occupational safety classes, they're still going to give you some really great information. They're still going to give you really great ideas for how to level up your safety program. And a lot of those occupational safety courses are actually taught by our MSHA by instructors that teach MSHA also. So it's a really great resource to be able to sit into those occupational safety classes. And after class, you can actually talk to the instructor and say, okay, well, what is the difference between what we talked about in our MSHA classes and what we talked about today? And you can actually kind of see how that correlates. And so that's really interesting too, and will really help you get a full picture. But so those are my suggestions. Let me know if you have any questions. Our contact information is going to be up here towards the end, and I'll always be happy to answer any questions. But for right now, I'm going to hand you over to Nicole.
Hello, everybody. Nicole Rilk here with Traffic Safety. So let's talk a little bit about defensive driving in the workplace. Why is defensive driving important and why we need it? What are the benefits of defensive driving for your organization? Oh, next slide. And the next one. And then the next one. Okay. What's the impact of work-related crashes? And then defensive driving is important because motor vehicle collisions are the leading cause of death and injury in the workplace, and the cost of a single accident can easily exceed 1.4 million. Thus, a defensive driving program can reduce risk and keep people safer on the road. We need a driver safety program to save lives and reduce the risk of life-altering injuries within the workplace. To protect your organization's human and financial resources, to guard against potential companies and personal liabilities associated with crashing involving employees driving on company business, and employees that are most valuable assets, and employers must protect them from hazards in their work environment, and roadway fatalities are on the rise. Defensive driving safety training has proven to be an effective solution to control liability costs associated with work-related vehicle crashes, reduce insurance premiums and fleet repair bills, reduce motor vehicle incident rates, decrease worker compensation claims, improve productivity by keeping employees safe on and off the job, and protecting your brand by improving public perception of your driving practice. So let's briefly talk about the impact of work-related crashes. I think next slide. Next slide. There we go. Okay, very good. So motor vehicle crashes cost employers about $60 billion annually. The average crash costs an employer about $16,500. When the worker has had an on-the-job crash that results in injury, it can cost their employers, and the cost to the employer is about $74,000 on average. There's indirect costs, like the cost to replace a worker, the cost to replace equipment, workman's comp insurance, liability, possible litigations. Off-the-job crashes are costly to employers as well. The real tragedy is that these crashes are largely preventable. Make sure that you have developed a safe practice for your employers and workers. Your program should keep the drivers safe and those with whom they share the road. Your safety program should change drivers' attitudes, improve behavior, and increase skills to build a safety culture. Educate your employers on basic safe driving practices, and rewarding safe behaviors can help your employees and families avoid tragedies. Employees are employers' most valuable assets. Therefore, workplace driver safety programs make good business sense and are good. Employee relation tools demonstrating that employees care about their employees. Defensive driving courses are typically repeated every 2 to 3 years for insurance purposes. Some employers choose to provide it at additional times if there's an employee that has demonstrated that they need further training. Some employers choose to provide it annually. While this training is essential, it shouldn't be the only training employees receive. Ongoing conversations about the risks and driving behaviors behind the wheel are essential. That's why our membership media library and streaming videos are such a great tool and resources to help you start these conversations and give you a place to start. Remember, defensive driving starts with you. Email me at nrilk@utahsafetycouncil.org to schedule your next safety meeting, and let's get your employees trained. Now I will turn the time over to Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for all the other updates to my team. Okay, so I just have a couple quick updates. Looks like we're getting close on time, so I want to just share the next free membership benefit classes. So I know Cameron had mentioned he's teaching this one coming up in August, the 17th and 18th for general industry. We've also got that construction one if that's kind of what you need. So those are coming up. And then don't forget your first aid, CPR, and AED course. You should be sending somebody from that or to that class every year if you're not attending yourself. And then we have our safety management systems for business. Now, this one's not until December, but I want to make sure that you put it on your calendars now, because it is a member benefit class for our sustaining and contributing members. And it's one of my favorite ones to talk about and offer because it is one I think is really great. It's just a great course, good instructor, and they can work through some details because it's a small class, but it's good if you, you're starting from scratch on a safety program, you're doing some new things, or if you're just kind of using it to audit or double check or those types of things. So it's definitely something to get on your calendar so you don't miss that one. We only do it a couple times a year. Okay, so the next Start with Safeties that we have coming up in September, we have occupant protection safety. And then October, we're going to talk about hearing protection and teen driving, because teen driving impacts all of us at work and at home. And then in November, we're going to talk about kind of network or cyber security, looking at safety from that side of things. So that's what we have going on and coming up. Just want to, kind of for my part, I just want to remind everyone, or just kind of give an update quickly. John had mentioned our awards. We're really excited about that, and we're excited to do it at the Capitol. We're excited to have our amazing keynote. We're so excited about all the awards, and then we get to do kind of a really engaging platform. So if you haven't registered or signed up, please make sure you do so. It's going to be a good event. And then we are kind of softly saying that our dates for our next Utah Safety Conference and Expo are in March, kind of at the end of March. So this is kind of just, pending approval, things kind of change, but we do want to start communicating that date. So you make sure to get it on your calendars. And then I have another event that I'm excited and hoping to get out and published this week, but we are going to be able to start getting back to doing some membership appreciation events. And so this one, it's my first one that I'm planning, and so I'm really excited to do it at Cross E Ranch. So that's a place that my family's enjoyed going to every fall, and so you'll hear more about that, and you'll get some details, but that's going to be in September for their fall festival. So we're looking forward to that. So make sure to put those dates on your calendars. And then I just want to say, if you want to do the next slide, Cameron, I just wanted to say quickly, I forgot my streaming slide. I always talk about streaming, but yeah, don't forget our streaming library. I know a couple of people had mentioned some other slides, but yeah, so I just wanted to say, I hope that gives you some good tools to help level up your safety program, your safety responsibilities, and yourself as a safety professional. Feel free always to reach out. I will send some links and some contact information. Especially would like to thank our friends at WCF Insurance for always engaging with us and being such great partners with us when it comes to safety and keeping those crucial safety conversations going. So thank you again for joining our Start with Safety webinar. We look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks.